Hey lunatics, it's Lady Luna, and today I'm talking about a topic that I am so passionate about and something that's very misunderstood by a lot of people. I'm talking about New Age spirituality, also known as the New Age movement. And what's really sad is I love the New Age movement, but so many people really seem to misunderstand it and dislike it. And it's weird when you look up the New Age movement on YouTube or in Google or anything like that. The very first things that come up are things criticizing it. So you get all these Christian people, for example, who are talking about how evil and satanic the New Age movement is, which is funny because most people in the New Age movement or New Age spirituality don't believe in a literal devil. Um, and then you also get atheists who think that the New Age spirituality thing is all just woo woo and crazy and pseudosciency and whatever. And then the funny thing is, you get also a lot of people who are the hippie New Age people who just don't want to be associated with New Age, so they make fun of it or they criticize it. And it's so interesting to see what that term tends to bring up. So I just wanted to talk about why I love the New Age movement and New Age spirituality and how I identify with it. And I use the word identify loosely. I don't like identifying with things so much as far as spirituality goes because, as you may have seen in my recent videos, I used to be part of a very strict, exclusive religion for many, many years, for most of my life. And if you want to know more about that, what religion I was in, what it was like to deconstruct from it, I have a memberships video explaining everything, and it's very eye-opening. It may, be relatable for a lot of you who watch my channel if you've deconstructed from religion as well. But when I deconstructed from my religion, it was an extremely confusing and scary time because I didn't know what to believe after that. When, the only belief system that you've been brought up with and that has been presented to you is then shattered, and you don't know what's true and what's not anymore, and you don't have the answers being given to you anymore. You kind of just sit there and go, what is true and what isn't? And this is why a lot of people who leave religion tend to just go atheist or even become a nihilist. For a good solid, I'd say 2 weeks after I first stopped believing in my religion, I was an atheist. But I really evaluated how I felt about things like the afterlife and if we have a spirit or what I call consciousness. And I evaluated a lot of things I believed in and a lot of things I'd read scientifically that support spiritual things and more metaphysical things. And I just decided, it makes the spirituality I believe in makes so much sense. And spirituality is also just part of who I am. I have told people, I feel like it's in my genes. I feel like it's in my blood. Spirituality is just part of who I am. And the spiritual path that tends to match most of what I believe in, you could call New Age. So I just wanted to give my own experience today with New Age spirituality as a positive example of what it can be like, because I feel like there aren't enough out there. So the New Age movement or New Age spirituality is an eclectic combination of similar beliefs and practices from all around the world. So this includes mainly Eastern religions, but also is mixed with deeper mysticism and more esoteric teachings, things that you might find in secret societies. But, for so long in the world, secret societies have existed basically since the beginning of humanity. But now those teachings, a lot of those secret teachings are available to everyone because we've come to a point in our humanity where things that were hidden are now made public. They're put into the light. The shadows have come into the light. And that's kind of part of what the New Age movement is about, is moving into a new age of knowledge and love and innovation and all these things. And so that's part of what I love about it, is it's basically taking the old age and making it new in our modern world, and making it more understandable for people instead of just the old superstitions that everybody just followed. There are things that can be backed up by science now, actually. A lot of people think the New Age movement is just woo-woo stuff or whatever. And honestly, I understand why people don't like the New Age movement sometimes, because the face of the New Age movement is usually the charlatans, like the people who say they're psychic, but they're just scamming a whole bunch of people, or the pseudoscience-y healers, right, that give you like snake oil or whatever just for money, and it can actually be really dangerous too. So I understand why, if that's the only thing people ever saw from New Age spirituality, they would think that it's all just a bunch of dumb superstitions. But that's not really what New Age spirituality is about. The more New Agey, hippie types, see, all these labels are kind of ridiculous, because most New Age people don't call themselves New Age, or most New Age people don't call themselves a hippie. Most hippies don't call themselves hippies. So it's more about, honestly, when you get into this kind of spirituality, most people don't label themselves. They don't label their spirituality. The only reason that I'm using this term and that I'm embracing the term is because when I was growing up religious and then lost my religion because I found out that it made no sense at all, I needed something to attach my spirituality to. I needed a word or a term that I could associate with to help me on my spiritual journey. And the one that most matched what I believed in was New Age spirituality. And so I learned to embrace that in spite of what people say about it, because it really, the true New Age spirituality is what I believe. I don't believe in these psychic people that are asking for all this money. I don't buy the whole snake oil salesman thing. I don't do any of that. What I believe in, well, I could get into that in a whole other video. But you know the typical beliefs of most New Age people. A lot of them are more agnostic when it comes to God, or more commonly, they tend to be pantheists, and I am a pantheist. So if you don't know, a pantheist is where you believe that everything is essentially God. So everything that exists in the universe, everything made of any kind of matter, you are God, I am God, everyone is God. Everything in nature, everything in outer space, everything is God. And the reason for that is because we all come from one source of consciousness. You may hear New Agey people talk about source a lot in reference to God. So in pantheism, you don't believe that God is a person who's like looking down and controlling everything. God is not a person. God is a consciousness that we all were part of once, before the universe existed, before matter existed. And this consciousness that we were a part of thought matter into existence. And in doing that, the consciousness started to split in all different pieces and became all different intelligences. And that those intelligences include you and me and everyone you know, every animal, every planet, every rock, every plant, every whatever. So this is also why a lot of New Agey people believe in reincarnation. And some believe in moksha, which is the end of the cycle of reincarnation that you can achieve when you've become enlightened, or you've had your spiritual awakening and things like that, or you let go of your ego. And these are the basic beliefs. There's a lot of other things like believing in energy and energy work and energy healing through things like crystals, and lots of other things like Reiki. And I'm on board with all that. Also, the universe is huge to a New Age person. A lot of New Age people believe in aliens. They believe that you can also reincarnate from other planets, meaning you're a star seed. That's the term that is used a lot. So you may be here in this life, in this body on Earth, but your consciousness, or what people would call a spirit, could have come from another planet. You could be from the Pleiades or whatever. That's a belief that a lot of New Age people now believe as well. So, while there are a lot of charlatans out there, I don't think it's fair to label New Age spirituality as just all a pseudoscience thing, because if we look at the example of the business world, because let's face it, there's charlatans in any group of people where you can make money. So, for example, there are a lot of business gurus on YouTube and TikTok and other places that are trying to get people to just pay them a bunch of money to give them a bunch of, let's face it, not very professional business advice that probably won't make them a millionaire like they claim. But does that mean, since there are charlatans in the business world, does that mean that you should never start your own business or that you could never become a millionaire? No, it doesn't mean that. It's the same with the New Age movement. So, with New Age spirituality, what it's really about is moving into a new age, what they call the age of Aquarius, or the cycle of the Yugas, where right now we're getting at the very tail end of what was a very dark age in Earth's history, in all of humanity. And we're moving into a more advanced time of higher thinking, more knowledge, more wisdom, more love, more compassion. And you can see this happening actually all over the place. People are waking up to all these different things about science and psychology. People are healing their traumas from their childhood and getting in touch with their inner child. And they're learning to, there's a lot of people even forgiving their parents after they have done what we call shadow work, which is where you look at all your bad habits and all the darker sides of yourself and what caused them in your past. All these deep, deep things. And it's funny because in religion, they're teaching that, oh, the world is getting worse. It's getting worse and worse and worse until one day it's going to be so bad that Jesus has to come back and, destroy all the sinners. And then the world will be made clean again, cleansed by fire. And then, then the earth will be perfect. And the very few people that were still righteous will live on the earth with Jesus and for 1,000 years and all that. That's at least what they taught in my religion. I don't know about if all Abrahamic religions teach that, but that's what mine taught. And it's funny because in New Age spirituality, it's the opposite. We see the world as getting better and better the more that we choose to love and learn about each other on a personal level, and the more we come together as one, because we really are one. We believe, that pantheist worldview where essentially my consciousness is on this earth separate from yours, but that's an illusion. That's not real. I am actually you, and you are actually me. And everyone you've ever known is you, but living in a different body with a different experience, so they seem different. But if you were that person born in that body, you would be exactly the same because of all the experiences and all the environments that they've been raised with. Everyone is you, and everyone is me. So when we realize this, and we realize the need for that compassion and that empathy, empaths are huge now, by the way. There's so many more empaths, I feel like, than there used to be, and that's part of this whole process. When we realize that we're all one and we have more kindness and understanding toward each other, that is what's fueling the new age to come. Because the whole goal in this is not only to end the cycle of reincarnation, reach moksha, which you do through enlightenment and letting go of the ego, but it's also to one day when when our sun blows up, and not even then, when the whole universe dies and ends, because everything has a beginning and an end, and a rebirth. At the end of all that, all of the consciousness is supposed to come back into one when matter no longer exists in this universe. So, or maybe many universes, we don't know. But when we're all coming together as one, we're doing the natural thing for our consciousness to do, because it's all the same consciousness, just in different bodies. So I hope I'm making sense for those who haven't heard of this before, or heard any of this side of, the New Age movement before. It may be confusing, but I hope to get into it more in my future videos, because it's so fascinating. And some of the most intelligent people in the world most intelligent people I've ever heard of have believed in this stuff, even scientists and other things like that, philosophers. If you're new to pantheism, by the way, I would highly suggest looking up the writings of Baruch Spinoza, which wrote about essentially what was pantheism. A lot of people call pantheism Spinoza's God, and that was what Einstein said he believed in. He's like, if I were to define, I don't remember the exact quote, you'll have to look it up, I'm sorry, but Einstein said if he were to believe in God, it would be Spinoza's God, something like that. Also, Giordano Bruno, who had very pantheistic ideas and was actually brutally executed for them. Look up his story. It's amazing. He's one of my heroes for sure. A lot of people are afraid of the New Age movement just because they think it's all this devil worshipping stuff, or people are being tricked into worshiping the devil when they don't know it. Like I said, because New Age people tend to be more pantheist and don't really believe in a personified God most of the time. Some New Age people do, but most do not. Most that I've heard of do not. That also means that most New Age people don't believe in a literal devil. They may believe there are evil spirits or evil forms of consciousness that can affect us, or what I believe is there's positivity and negativity, meaning like positive energy and negative energy, but a lot of that has to do with our subconscious mind. So if we learn to control our subconscious mind more through various things like meditation and also manifestation, which is also called magic. Those are actually the same thing, which scares a lot of people, especially Christians, because they're like, oh, witchcraft. But witchcraft is actually like one of the oldest practices in the world that predates Christianity, and is amazing. It's all just about reprogramming your subconscious mind. And it's not like the magic in Harry Potter. It's not like the magic you see in Hollywood. It's all basically psychology before there was a word for it. So that's something to keep in mind. So that's all I think I'm going to say about New Age spirituality today, because there's so much more I could say. I hope to do more videos on this. And if you want to know more about, like I said, the New Age movement is actually very pro-science, whereas religion, does a lot of science denying about things like evolution or the age of the earth or dinosaurs and things. So I would say if you want to know more about how New Age spirituality's practices like crystals and astrology and essential oils and the law of attraction and all that can be backed up by science, I have videos on all of that if you just search for them on my channel. So be sure to check those out. And if you have any questions about the New Age movement or New Age spirituality practices or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. I would love to make more videos about this. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.